All right, Yak Math videos. Here we are with a potential video you might need for Friday, January 10th, folks. We are brought to you by, this is the first video of 2025. We're brought to you by Hammer Gel. All right, want a little gel on the run? Yes. RX Bar. All right, this is my wife's favorite flavor, though, so I can't eat it. Laura Bar Kids. Also, the little ladies love this, so Dad can't touch. And for me, Noon Sport Hydration. All right. Put a little electrolytes in that water. We thank our 2025 sponsors there. All right, so Trig, here we are. Section 6.1 continued from yesterday. All right. Find the exact value of y. So your homework set begins like this. Y equals arc cotangent negative root 3 over 3. So first off, I just skipped the cotangent inverse, okay? So that is y. In order to use your calculators, we're going to need y equals tan inverse negative root 3. I'm sorry, negative 3 over root 3. Guys, we have to flip that. We have to flip that. Now, that can go in your calculator as you see it. You want to make sure you're in degree mode. And if I hit second tan of negative 3 divided by the square root of 3 in the calculator right now, I hit enter. It does, in fact, tell me negative 60 degrees, which we're going to add 362. We get 300 degrees. Guys, on your homework set, numbers 1 through 6, I want you to leave your answers in terms of pi radians. So 300 degrees multiplied by pi over 180, that's 5 pi thirds radians. And that is because on 7 through 10, it says give theta, like give the degree measure of theta. So on 7th through 10, degree measure. On 1 through 6, radians, please. I mean, you can leave both. That's fine, but I need to see radians. Y equals secant inverse of negative 2. That means y equals cos inverse of negative 1/2. Flip it, the reciprocal that is. And if you're typing your calculator, cos inverse of negative 1/2, you get 120 degrees. Multiply by pi over 180, 120 divided by 180, 2/3, attach pi, 2/3 pi radians. That is what we did yesterday. You did 10 to 12 examples, depending on what class you are. Maybe 11, 10 or 11. All right, give the degree measure of theta. So theta is cos inverse of 1. That means theta is sine inverse. That's the reciprocal. What's the reciprocal of 1? It's also 1. In your calculator, hopefully we know this as well. That's right up here. That's at pi over 2, 90 degrees. Now this says give the degree measure. So it's 90. All right, theta is, that's supposed to be cos inverse. Cos inverse of negative root 3 over 2. Type in your calculator, it's 150 degrees. Second quadrant, 150 degrees. Okay, so now it's time for part 2. That is everything we talked about. So that is a review time for part 2. All right, part 2, here it is. Evaluate the following. What? Sine of tan inverse root 3 over 2. All right, so what does this mean? First off, anytime we have sine of blank, tangent of blank, cosine of blank, that is a ratio, okay? So, I mean, that's like an angle. Theta is an angle, so strike that, sorry. It's sine inverse of a ratio, so sine of theta. So this is an angle. So this represents some angle. Okay, so I'm looking for some sine theta. And this theta, this is what? So tan inverse of root 3 over 2. Guys, if you try to type sine of tan inverse of 3 over 2, it's not going to be helpful at all. All right, if you want to, you can type in tan inverse, second tan, 3 divided by 2. Your calculator tells you 56.31 degrees. So in years past, I have to tell my calculus kids, all right, in what quadrant will you have an angle that is 56.3 degrees? And that is the first quadrant, okay? So it's important to know that tan inverse is positive in the first quadrant. That is the first task. I got to figure out in what quadrant will I have an angle with a tangent ratio of positive 3 over 2. Tan inverse is positive in the first quadrant. You can use your calculator if you need to. If you type in tan inverse 3 over 2, it gives you an angle that is 56.31 degrees. It is in the first quadrant. So that, I need to know that because now I need to make an angle. I need to make a triangle. That's in the first quadrant, a right triangle. And theta is always going to be here from the origin. And theta has a tangent ratio of 3/2. That means the hypotenuse, if I do the Pythagorean theorem, is root 13. So I need a theta such that it has a tangent ratio of 3/2, and I want to know what is sine of that theta. Okay, so sine of that theta is opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of theta is 3/root 13. Now I know there's no theta in the question, but that's where you're looking for. You're going to say sine of theta is blank, cosine of theta is blank, and that sort of thing. All right, so this is the question, and review units of past for my calculus students. That has been the one they've struggled with probably the most. All right, so we're going to take today, and then obviously, again, if you have to watch this, then on Monday as well. All right. So tangent of theta, and this is a theta such that it has a cosine ratio of -5/13. Again, while we're working on this, ultimately the goal would be to know that, hey, cosinverse is negative in the second quadrant. We want to make that connection right away. So then we would draw a right triangle in the second quadrant. All right. If we're not there yet, you can still use your calculator kind of as a crutch. You can type in cosinverse, so second cosine of -5/13. I get 112.62 degrees. So theta is an angle that is 112.62 degrees. That's in the second quadrant, okay? So it's in the second quadrant. I make a right triangle in the second quadrant. You've done this a bunch this year, such that this theta has a cosine ratio adjacent over hypotenuse of -5/13. All right, so that's going to be 12. That's a 5, 12, 13 triangle. And, all right, I caught that here. That doesn't count. I'm not doing push-ups. Tangent theta. Tangent theta is opposite over adjacent. All right, negative 12/5. Look at that. This will take a few examples. All right, this might take 2 days, but we can do that. All right, number 7 here. What is secant of sine inverse of 7/10? Sine inverse, cosinverse, tan inverse, folks. Those are all positive in the first quadrant. So again, I can type in sine inverse of 7/10. Sine inverse 7/10. And I get 44.4 degrees. That's in the first quadrant. So I need to draw a right triangle in the first quadrant. And there's theta right there. So that's the first thing you do is you draw a right triangle in the first quadrant. Theta's right there, and it has a sine ratio of 7/10 and opposite over hypotenuse. And that's the adjacent. That's root 51. That's Pythagorean theorem. You can say x squared plus 7 squared is 10 squared. X squared is 51. X is the square root of 51. So I want to know, what is secant of that theta? All right, so I always do the reciprocal function first. All right, so what's cosine of theta? It's root 51/10 adjacent over hypotenuse. So secant is just 10/root 51. Flip it. Okay. 8. Cosine of cosecant 5/2. All right. Cosecant's not going to be very helpful for us. So instead, that's sine inverse. This will be the last one we practice today. So instead, it's sine inverse of, flip it, 2/5. Again, we're back in the first quadrant. Sine inverse of 2/5. If I do second sine, 2 divided by 5, sine inverse of 2/5. It's 23.6 degrees. Sine inverse is positive in the first quadrant. So I'm going to draw a right triangle in the first quadrant such that it's opposite over adjacent. It's opposite over hypotenuse. Its sine ratio is 2/5. X squared plus 2 squared is 5 squared. It's going to be x squared equals 21. That's root 21 right there. Okay, so I want to know what is, again, this is saying here's some theta. Theta has a cosine ratio of 2/5. Now I want to know what is cosine of that theta. All right, and that's, I think I just gave you the answer, root 21/5. All right. We're going to finish that on Monday, section 6-1 on Monday, unless I see you in person on Friday. A lot at play here. So I'm making this Thursday night, and I do not know if you are in school yet, and I do not know if my sweet offspring number 2's daycare is open tomorrow, so a few variables here. but we need to be proactive. So we're going to go to Trig Quarter 3 ACT Math Test. All right, we have done questions 1 and 2 together in class. All right, this one right here, for all numbers P and Q, you have that formula. What is the value of P when the value of Q is 21? So that is the formula. This is for Friday 110. So 21 is Q, 21 is Q. 21 is equal to 5/3 P plus 46. All right, you want to subtract 46 from both sides. Then you have this. Okay, I'm going to multiply by 3/5. You could divide by 1.6 repeating, that's fine. That's going to be a negative 75 over 15, which is, or over 5, which is a negative 15. B is negative. Negative 15 is your solution there. All right. And we're going to do the next page together. All right. So what is the value of 2 plus y when y is a negative 6? The ACT loves absolute value questions. Can this turn? Right, that's it. Oh, there it is. All right, so 2 plus a negative 6 in the absolute value is the absolute value of negative 4. Absolute value of negative 4 is positive 4. Positive 4J. I mean, H is a popular wrong answer, but it is wrong. In 2015, the total rainfall in Central City was 13 inches less than it was in 2000. And in 2016, the total rainfall was 33 inches greater than it was in 2000. If a positive indicates an increase and a negative is a decrease, what is the difference in the yearly rainfall from 2015 to 2016? All right, so there was more rain in 2016. So from 2015 to 26. So 2015 had less rainfall. All right, so our answer needs to be positive here. All right, because you can see one of these answers, you have two answers that are opposites of each other. But in terms of the year 2000, 2015 sat at a negative 13. And in terms of the year 2000, 2016 sat at a positive 33. What's the difference? So 33 minus a negative 13 is 46. There was 46 more inches in 2016 versus 2015. If I go from 2015 to 2016, the difference was 46, a positive 46, because 2016 had more there this second year. All right, so it needs to be positive 46. 33 minus a negative 13. Ruben purchases a violin on sale for a price of $1,250, which includes tax and other fees. He makes an initial payment of $300 cash and puts the remainder on his new credit card. That's $950 on the credit card. It says here that he's going to pay 9 monthly payments of $150. That's $1,350. Okay, so what's the difference between the total amount he actually paid versus the sale price? And it's the interest. It's the interest. He paid $400 in interest. Okay, which sounds like a lot. Okay, $400. A regular hexagon. Okay, guys, a regular any figure means all sides are equal and all interior angles are also equal. So a regular four-sided figure is a square. A regular triangle is an equilateral triangle. A regular hexagon means all 6 sides are the same. So if you have a perimeter of 30 and you have 6 sides, all 6 sides are 5. Okay, so that means this is 5. Now, if you forget, you can probably make a safe assumption that these are all going to be 5 and the answer is going to be 15. So there's a few different things at play here we can think about. The number of the measure of the interior angles, what they sum to. For any regular figure here is it's n minus 2, the number of sides. So 6 minus 2, 4, and you multiply it by 180. 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 times 180 is 180. That's why a triangle has 180 degrees. A four-sided figure, 4 minus 2 is 2. 2 times 180 is 360. Four-sided figure has 360 degrees. Hexagon has 540. Pentagon has 540, and a hexagon has 720. So if I divide that by 6, because there's 6 angles, that means this is 120, that's 120, that's 120. Well, this is like being cut in half, so that is 60. That is also 60. That is also 60. Also, all sides of these are equal. You can put like a circle around it. There's like 6 of these little pieces, correct? And what's 360 degrees in a circle? It's 360 divided by 6. That means that is 60. And anyway, it's an equilateral triangle. All right, so 15. 15. All right, folks, that is it. That is going to be good for us. This is Yak Math Videos, hoping to see everyone for a full week next week. Yak Math Videos signing out.